So I'm going to turn it over to Jerome Shaw now, our Breatharian teacher for this evening. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming once again. Thank you. All right. How are we feeling?
Great.
Feeling great? Yeah? All right. I know there's a lot to take in. It's a lot to digest. There's a lot to definitely cover. I'm fairly new to this as well. I learned about a lot of this last year. Went through a transformational year. If I can, I guess, talk about myself, a little bit about me. I got a bachelor's in theater arts from Texas State University in San Marcos, and from there, my life really kind of drifted into, acting here and there, doing odd jobs, just making money, making ends meet, and I drove to California to pursue the career, but as things would have it, ran into so many different scenarios, so many different wonderful people, but I just trusted that things would work out in whatever fashion that they would. I didn't really know where I was going, where I was headed, but I just knew that I wanted to go here for this reason. I knew there was more opportunities. So I landed at family members' houses. I bounced around, and without having to overstay my welcome, had to find my way on my own, and went to a meetup seminar, which was a meditation meetup seminar with Burmese monks and nuns from Myanmar. And so stayed there for a while. They actually taught me how to go deeper into meditation, because in 2017 I started meditating with apps like Insight Timer and Headspace. You may be familiar with these on the phone. So it's interesting how technology can kind of circle us back to meditation and things of that nature to introduce people. So meditating with them was transformational. They taught me about why we suffer. They taught me about detachment. They taught me just different lessons. And I had a conversation with a girl named Ellie, and she told me about an Italian nun who doesn't eat and who was living on liquids at the time. And also, the center that I was staying at was the one that you and Ellie Tom went to, the Barwa.
Uh-huh.
The Barwa Center. So with Sayadaw, you spoke with the chief monk there.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so you went to where I was living.
Liquids. He was doing liquids too.
He was doing liquids as well. So that inspired me to at least try it, because before last year, I never believed it was possible. I never knew anything about it. And I'm just the type of person that loves a challenge. I love learning new things. I feel like there's no end to learning. Like, we can learn lifelong and there's no end. And I just decided to pursue it and just see what became of it. So this led me to people like Jasmine Heen, Ray Mayor, Eli Tom Elamine, reading books like Breatharian Nuggets, A Year Without Food, The Food of the Gods, and just saturating my mind with this content. And also, since we have a wealth of knowledge on the internet, YouTube is providing us more and more with so many different people that I discovered who years and years ago were already doing things like this, walking and talking, breathing among us. And these are people who just don't eat, So I understand a lot more now why a lot more people don't know that these things or these people exist, or that these things are even possible, because when people did become public, they were shunned, or they were criticized, or they were ridiculed, or they were just heavily, very just, shut down by media sources and by people who just, have no appetite for that type of knowledge. So I said all that to say that that was my beginning, and I decided to go on a month, just a 30-day fast from solid food, which turned into 3 months. So I went from 1 month of no food last year to, okay, I guess I can do this. Feeling really good, feeling a lot of influxes of energy, feeling clarity, feeling focus. Like, all this breakdown of scientific facts and things, like, I don't know anything about that. My mom is a doctor, she's an OBGYN, she knows about the body and stuff. But all I knew was what I believed. you know, what I believed in my heart, what I believed in my mind, what I believed in my body, that this was sort of a calling for me. And so I just kind of followed it, went with the flow, and just didn't fight it and didn't resist. And I learned that not only that I could do it, but I could do it for extended periods, and I didn't die. And I was still alive, and I not only survived, but I was able to thrive, and was able to do more and more things that it was so ironic. Every time I let something go, every time I eliminated something, more came in to fill that space. But it wasn't in the form of food, it was in the form of, like I said, clarity, focus. Like I started just nailing things down, I started letting things go. Anything that I didn't want in my life or didn't want to do or didn't serve me started removing itself. People who no longer were there for me in my life started removing themselves. Like things just started to disappear and then reappear and then come into my life that I needed, you know, so guides, just everything just started to, the puzzle pieces started to fit. So that was the 3-month 3-month liquid fasting last year. And then I spent some time with my parents, which was a wonderful opportunity afforded to me to be able to spend some time with them. In December, I decided to go back on liquids after getting off a little bit in November, teetering back into food, back off. And which I do want to point out that, in my opinion, like I said, I'm fairly new to this. I feel like I'm a baby breatharian. There's a baby stage and adolescent stage and adult stage. But I feel like breatharianism is not about not eating. It's not about shunning food or saying that food is bad. It's only about opening yourself up to another way of living. It's opening yourself up to another source of energy. You're changing your relationship to food, and you're saying that you can pick this up or you can put it down. You have the choice now. So there are aspects of breatharianism, or there are levels where people can get to where they, and I did feel this, because there's a pranic state that you can go in and out of. It's not permanent. You're not there and then it's like irreversible. You can go in and out, but it's a decision. And you can get to the point where I got to, where I did physically feel at times that I could go long periods like this, like long. Like it just, it's very hard to describe if you've never felt it, but I just hope that this love and this, you know, I'm transferring something to you that is palpable. So even if you are physically detached from food, you can still be emotionally attached to food and to liquids and solids and everything, because it's immersed in our culture. We're surrounded by it every day. You can't go a day without seeing it on the, you know, everyone's eating, you know. It's in the family culture, the Thanksgiving, Christmas, everything is about, you know, surrounded by food. So, you know, and food is not bad. I don't look at food as something that is wrong or something that is bad. And I still eat, or I still, you know, or I choose to, or I choose not to. It's really up to me. It's up to me now. But I understand that this ability, you're able to go long periods without it. So I guess, let me see, I didn't kind of have a whole thing covered. I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of my walk with it. I'm still walking with it. I'm a podcaster, a blogger, and a YouTuber, and so these are the mediums that I'm using to spread this message, to just insightfully just inspire more people to this way of living, that this is possible, and to just be one of the beacons of light that lets people know that this way is available. Because I didn't, like I said, I didn't know that these people existed. I didn't know that this was a thing, and I certainly didn't know that I could do it until I challenged myself to do it.
Okay, well, just tell them a little bit about the retreat that you did, the pranic retreat, and the 16 days you went no food, no water, and what happened to you spiritually and physically.
Sure, yeah. So I can talk about the retreat. The retreat was wonderful. I challenged myself before the retreat to go 8 days without food. Technically, it was like 7 or 8 days. On the 8th day, that was when I broke the fast, and then I went another consecutive 8 days without any food or liquid.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it was a dry fast. It was a soft dry fast. There's soft and hard. So a soft dry fast, you're still washing your hands, taking a shower, you're still, doing things like that. You're brushing your teeth. A hard dry fast, you're not touching water at all, like in no form. Yeah. So you're just abstaining from water. Yeah. Because we have so many pores on our bodies, so many, ways to intake this water that we're not even aware of, that there's just so much around us that we don't really know. And that's also what this book has been teaching me as well. But the retreat was wonderful. It was a wonderful cultivating environment of folks like yourself who were just very curious and just kept an open mind and wanting to explore the avenues of the body. I specifically said that my objective when coming here was to expand my energy body, and that was really my reasoning. I didn't have a super spiritual reasoning, or, even though my life had changed completely, I didn't have like such a deep reasoning as to why I wanted to do this. It just really felt like an inner calling, and I wanted to expand my energy body. And so I did that through forms of meditation, which I'll have to say, I do not think I would have been able to reach the pranic state without meditation and belief. I think meditation and belief were two things that were key for me, and that was helped with you, Athena, with Elitam, with everyone who was here, the environment, with the YouTube videos, with the books, supplementing with just saturating myself with this, with people who had already done it. I'm sure you know of Roger Bannister, who in like 1954 did the 4-minute mile. Before that, no one thought it could be done. Athletes had never done it. Doctors thought it was impossible. He ran a mile in under 4 minutes, and within months, people started to do it. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing here. Folks like Jasmine Heen, she lived on light, and so more people decided to try it and discovered that it was possible. So this was an environment that, just like we had the song and we have the meditation, and there was always room available, and it was just very supportive for this way of life, and it was no stress. Mark, you were here. Some of the time you were here, and it was just very de-stressing, very detoxing in a number of ways. And so we were just talking to each other. Yeah.
Lack of sleep. Just talk about that just for a tiny bit.
Lack of sleep?
That you didn't need to sleep.
Oh, okay. So that's one of the things. I don't know if we have a question and answer type thing if we want to get into it, but if you have questions about that, that's an amazing topic for me. Is one of the things I found is that the less you eat, the less you tend to sleep. The more you eat, the more the body needs energy to digest, and the more you will sleep. So it's like the mantra that I use is the more, the less, the less. The more you sleep, the more you want to sleep. The more you eat, the more you need to eat. The less you eat, the less you need to eat. The less you need to, the less you do something, the more you let go, the more you surrender, the more you release. Naturally you start to, other things start to flow in, but then you realize that, through that, you start to get stronger. It's like yoga, like the body is a rubber band, and the more you start to stretch yourself with these fasts and things, you start to be able to do it more and more. So with sleep, nowadays, it's interesting, I will wake up sometimes, often, before 4 o'clock. I'll wake up at maybe 3:30, and even sometimes I'll wake up, I can go to sleep at 10 o'clock, wake up at 11 or 12, and my body will tell me it's done. It's done sleeping. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take on the day. And so it's just the strangest feeling where you have all this energy. You're up and everybody else is sleeping. Or it's just like you're up during the day, but then you get a few hours of sleep at night and it feels like you got 8. It's like 3 hours of sleep feels like 8. And any more than that, like if you get 6 hours of sleep, you feel groggy, you feel like you got too much. And so it's because you're not in the same wavelength, you're not in the same vibration, you're on a different frequency. And because the lighter and lighter you go, the lighter and lighter you get. It's like you start to become very light. It's ironic in a way because food is dense. It's just a denser form of light, the way I understand it. But everything is light, but food is a denser form. So then when we go to liquid, liquid is still tangible, you can feel it, but it has no shape, it's formless. So you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put it into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. But it's just another denser form of light. Then you go to the gas, and then that's a less dense form. And then, and things like I was doing like sun gazing, I was doing things like eating the sun, like nourishment, like that. So there's so many forms of nourishment. A conversation can be nourishing. You have a conversation with someone who you find really engaging, and you really just enthused with this person, and you're learning new things, and you just feel invigorated, revitalized, like just renewed, restored, reborn. That's a form of nourishment. That's that prana, Then there's times when you're engaged in an activity and you forget to eat. Beyonce, the famous singer, she was in a studio for 3 nights in a row. She forgot to eat. She forgot. She was so involved with her music that it didn't occur to her that she hadn't eaten yet. And so these things we kind of brush off our shoulder and just kind of pass off as like occurrences, but they're our power. We have this within us. We have these abilities. So that's about sleep. Yes, you can definitely go without sleep.
And your productivity.
Yes, productivity raises because naturally if you're eating less, you're able to do more because you have more energy. So
you were reading books, you were writing things,
yes,
a blog.
I'm about done with this, and I just started this like a couple days ago. I'm like consuming things on a different level. Now I'm hungry. I have like mental hunger for things that physical hunger was satiating me before. So it's just really interesting, It's really interesting. Just before I go on, like, does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I guess just like as you were saying that, I was just because the girl I'm seeing right now, like even just sometimes we'll go like a good like 5, 6, 8 hours even.
Yeah.
We're just like hanging out, right? Like just exchanging, and we're like, wait, have we eaten?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I'm always brushed off my shoulder. I'm like, we're like absorbing each other's energy, but
right.
We're quite literally,
Yeah.
really are. And like, cause and then like afterwards, I'm like, oh god, I feel like I've lost weight today or something. Then I'm like, wait, actually, no, I don't even feel like I need it.
Right.
I was more just like,
right.
I just wanted to say it.
No, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that, brother. And what is your name?
Marcus.
Marcus. Awesome.
Marcus is a hip hop dancer, and he teaches, and he's into music videos. And you were going to go on tour, right?
Yes.
What? We're gonna get into it, Marcus.
We're gonna do that too. We're gonna have to dance. We're gonna have to dance while he does that. At the end, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, being a breatharian, you learn how to do. You have a lot of time on your hands.
When you said the productivity too, do you just find yourself like grasping new tasks or new abilities that you didn't even think twice about beforehand?
Great question, Marcus. You start to get a lot more creative because you understand now that if you allow boredom, because this influx of energy, it's like a gift. It's like a gift that you didn't know was available, and now it is. It's like the caffeine of the universe. Like you're running on another engine, and so you can take the gift, or you can shun the gift. You can refuse the gift and say, you know what, I like the way things were, and if you do that, then you'll just go back to eating, and then you'll go back to sleeping. But if you receive the gift, if you accept the gift, then you learn how to work with the energy. You learn there's so many things that you can do. So many things become available. I love reading. I already loved reading, but I felt like I wasn't reading fast enough or reading enough. Now that problem is no longer with me. Now, like you were asking, your question was, what do you do?
Yeah,
with
just with so much extra energy
Yeah, I write blogs in the morning, like while my roommates, while people are sleeping. Like I'm in the morning up, just doing blogs. I can go in the closet and do a quick podcast episode. Working on videos on YouTube. That's productive. My production online, just expanding myself in business online. Learning about new things, learning about financial literacy, just being more intact with myself. Meditation, you can meditate, you can do anything you want. But it's just very interesting. It's just a whole new world opens up to you because you have more time. And I know Elitam always says like perfect health or good health is time management. It's like you have all this time available that you didn't have before, so now you're like, what to do with all this extra time on my hands, all this energy that I didn't have before. My friend Jenna, who was here at the retreat, she just called me today. We had a talk, and she is feeling wonderful. She finally had a morning today where she woke up. She said she woke up at like 4 o'clock, and she said she was like ready to go. Now she's got climbing gear. She's gonna start climbing and teaching yoga, and she just bought a whole bunch of stuff. She's excited. She was just talking to me today about how she had a breakthrough because there's so many levels. But I love how Bruce Lee says, there are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them. So I see for myself, I see there are no limits. We are limitless, and we're only really limited by our beliefs. And so that was one of the key things for me. The meditation to get rid of that monkey mind, that subconscious mind that still today, like still as I speak to you right now, I'm not out of it. I'm still in this like path. I'm still on the journey. But your mind will play tricks on you.
You just learn to kind of like, would you say, silence it?
You learn how to work with it. You learn how to occupy it. It's like imagine a monkey playing cymbals, and when you're idle, when you allow yourself to just, whenever those moments, those windows of time come when you're not doing anything, you get restless sometimes, and you want to reach for your phone, or you have that phantom feeling that sometimes that vibration in your pocket, you feel like, and sometimes that vibration will even happen, your phone's not even there. It's like we're under all these subconscious programs, and the way that I'm understanding it is that the conscious mind is like the branches of a tree, or the fruit of a tree, the branches, and then the subconscious is what's below. It's like the roots. So the roots, the fruit doesn't, like by the time that something gets to your conscious mind, by the time you do an action, you're already late. It's already happened in the subconscious. Like everything has already taken place below. So in order to change the fruit, you have to change the root, the foundation. Like so, that's some of the things that I'm learning and still learning. But it's a process. It's definitely a process. Thank you for your question. Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Nita.
I wanted to ask, like during that transition phase, were there any, like, what were your challenges?
Mm-hmm.
Or were there adverse reactions or effects or something you felt you had to
Yes.
get through?
Yeah, I definitely had challenges. I wanted to be a strong force for everyone else here that was going in the retreat because I had already done like a 7-day fast coming into the retreat, and so I knew that it was possible. So I kind of had a slight edge coming in, just knowing that it was possible. So I didn't have that barrier, whereas a lot of other people were struggling like on 2 days, and they kind of had a barrier.
Your first time that you ever
The
did it,
first time?
like,
Oh,
how
you
did
mean like
feel?
last year?
Yeah, like when you first did it,
Yeah.
how did you feel in that process?
Oh, okay. So
I'm just
last year when I first did the liquid fast for 30 days, the first week was a little tough. The first 3 to 5 days were tough because I was detoxing. You're talking about me like, I was very much, I'd say 2 years ago I was full-blown carnivore, like hot wings, whole rotisserie chickens like in one sitting. Like I could eat these things. Yeah, like my diet was so far beyond what it is today. I jumped from just eating meat. I skipped. Well, as my life started to change, people started asking me more and more, like, "Are you vegetarian? Are you vegetarian? Are you vegetarian?" Just because of my choices at the workplace. But and I was like, I might as well be, because so many people were asking me. But I literally jumped from eating meat all the way from vegetarian, past veganism, past raw food, all the way into liquid. Like I jumped clean into it because I knew I needed a change in my life. I wasn't going where I wanted to go. I didn't feel purposeful. I didn't feel impactful. I didn't feel like my actions were making a difference. I didn't feel connected. I just felt disconnected. I was heavily into video games, unfocused, heavily just very, very cloudy, very hazy. And so the first week was tough for me. And then after that detox, after my body started to clear out some things, I got an influx of energy where I was like, okay, all right. After the first week, I was like, all right, I'm good. It's starting to come. Then the second week, something else happened. And then it was like I unlocked something in the second week on liquid. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I've never felt like this before. It's hard to describe. It's like I said, you're running on a different engine. You're not under the power of these dense forces. So your thinking is lighter. Your actions are lighter. You take things lighter. Somebody cuts you off on the road. You don't immediately react. You're able to respond from a place of peace, from a place of love and joy. Your meditation starts to get deeper. You start to become very more connected quicker. You start to register things that irritate you or things that happen to you faster, and they become more clear. So it's just all around more clarity. And then after the 30-day mark, I didn't want to go back because I was afraid. I was actually afraid to go back to eating solid food because the level of productivity,
right, it's amazing.
The level of manifestation. I took this thing off the tray from Starbucks and I ate it, and it was like, whoa, like what? Like it just to taste something again, just to chew something again. It was like. I think I started laughing. It was like, what? Like before I told you about, like, I used to eat all these spicy foods like hot wings and chicken and stuff, and like, I never knew that dousing these things in hot sauce and all these ingredients, like I never knew what I was doing to my insides. After going on such a prolonged fast, I was so detoxed that like when I would taste these things again, just to taste a dab or a sample, I could taste all the ingredients. I tasted the vinegar, the this, the that, like I tasted everything. Whereas before it was just, flavor. Now it was like my body disseminated all of the ingredients, and it was like I could taste clearly everything on the label. So it's surreal. It's surreal. Thank you, Nita, for your question. Any other questions?
So we are almost on the...
okay. Right.
So you were going to quote the Kabbalion. That's the book that you were reading.
It was.
So before we run out of our Facebook... We're going to continue, but we have our Facebook Live here. And so one of the things that we suggest when we're fasting is to go into a lot of the esoteric texts. The Upanishads, the Emerald Tablets, the Kabbalion, the Hermetica. These are universal truths that come from all different religions and all different backgrounds that when you realize how to be in this world, a soul approaching your God consciousness. So Atman Brahman, you have the soul and you have the Brahman, you have the universe. And to connect to that universal energy, you can connect through the word of masters who have written it down. And when you're fasting, you're actually thinking on those streams of light yourself, and you start to write poetry comes through, music comes through. You hear the music of the spheres, you take up new hobbies, you feel more energy. And so we're going to be teaching in March a 7-day retreat here. Those of you who are interested, please get a hold of me. I'm Athena Starseed. And you can unplug from your life and your social media and jump into your cellular energy and find out what your own human potential is. So share with us your Kabbalion.
Yeah, so I did write some things down here. One of the things I wrote down just before the Kabbalion was about meditation specifically. And this was something I wrote down today while I was walking. That's another thing, is exercise. That's another big thing. Like I'm walking like 10 miles a day, like simple. And you're running, like I said, you're running on that other energy. That's a whole other deal. But exercise is definitely a plus for continuing allowing the prana to flow through your body. Exercise really allows that to happen. So with the breath work and everything, it's just a big combination. But meditation is most definitely the foundation for multiple reasons. It's medication for the body and mind. It frees us from the monkey mind that takes control when we are idle. We need meditation in this lifestyle, it's my opinion, to maintain a sense of calm amidst old habits and vices, able to better exercise willpower and restraint. So from the Kabbalion, there's a passage here in the chapter of the planes of correspondence, but it talks about the dimension of vibration. And it says that the third Hermetic principle, that everything is in motion, everything vibrates, nothing is at rest. So this microphone, this cell phone here, all these wonderful artifacts and wonderful instruments, like everything is vibrating, we're vibrating, my voice is vibrating, you're vibrating, like everything, the world is an ocean of motion. So from the highest manifestation to the lowest, everything and all things vibrate. Not only do they vibrate at different rates of motion, but as in different directions and in a different manner. The degrees of the rate of vibrations constitute the degrees of measurement on the scale of vibrations. In other words, the degrees of the fourth dimension. And these degrees form what occultists call planes. This is where I started underlining. I was like, whoa, I had never heard about this. So, yeah. So the higher the degree of rate of vibration, the higher the plane. And the higher the manifestation of life occupying that plane. So that while a plane is not a place, per se, nor yet a state or condition, yet it possesses qualities common to both. So a plane is not necessarily a place or a state or a condition, but it has qualities that are common to both. So when I talk about manifestation, one of the things that I aspire to have is like a Tesla. I just love Teslas. Well,
me too.
Yeah,
right on.
like,
Justice for everybody.
So like, I'm walking downtown Los Angeles, and I'm telling you, like this whole week,
they're everywhere.
I've seen them everywhere. Now I've seen them at like on an insane level. It's at the point where I know
You're gonna get
that
one.
it's emanating from the energy that I'm projecting, like that is coming from me. Like I know that this is why I'm seeing them everywhere. It's not just because they're out here in abundance, but my eyes are registering them. One could say it's a confirmation bias. You're thinking about it, so you're seeing it. You could easily say that. But in another way, I'm manifesting this because it's like I see them parked, I see them driving, I see them in passing, I see them every time I see one, it's like confirmation for me. So just a couple more encouraging words here, and that's it. The Kabbalion. In the Kabbalion I read, the true meaning of life is not known to men on this plane. So it said that basically like, none of us really know the true meaning of life. We will make no mistake in living up to the best that is in us. So becoming your greatest version, just aspiring to be the best that you can be. It doesn't mean you have to be a breatharian. It doesn't mean you have to be anything other than who you are. But you will make no mistake in living up to the best that is in you. And lastly, we are all on the path, and the road leads upward and ever with frequent resting places. So like I said before with Bruce Lee, there are no limits. There are only plateaus. They're just frequent resting places. We're all on this path together. Everybody's in different places. We're all rising together, but we're just, doing it in our own unique ways. So that's why this is beautiful for me to be able to share this time with you. And thank you. I thank you for your time. It's one of the, yes, it's the most precious thing that we have to give. We can't get our time back. So really appreciative of you giving your time tonight.